Movie trivia schmo down. Thought I knew all the answers to the questions. Celebrated too early. Almost cried when I realized that I missed it. And this is how you remind me that it's Spider-Man. This is how you remind me. Have you ever hated Nickelback any more than when they defeated our beloved Mark and Kristian?
I love how Ellis, the cherry on top was that Nickelback wasn't as bad as everyone says they are.
Yeah. I've made that argument many times on Sight and Sound. Not for Nickelback, that music in general. Look, you can't. I mean, I agree. Nickelback has some pretty good songs. For what it's worth, do
you remember that song "Too Bad" that was on that first record?
I don't.
It's too bad.
Oh yeah,
it's too bad. That's not a bad one.
What I mean by that, let me preface this. In the book of good,
people might yell at you.
In the book of good and bad songs, there are some Nickelback songs in the good songs category. Do we make fun of them because they're easy to make fun of? Absolutely. But there are some okay Nickelback songs.
Hero is a good song.
Hero is a good song.
The one that's referenced in that Schmoe Down question.
You know who else?
That's actually a good song.
You know who else is also on that song besides Chad Kroeger?
Amy Lee from Evanescence.
No.
Only because she was around back then.
The guy from the band Saliva.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That guy.
Okay. Good to know. Why did you blow out the candle?
Because candles give me a headache when they're really...
You didn't say a word about that last week.
Really smelly things give me a headache.
Ladies and gentlemen, I lit the anointed candle here because, we're on schmoly ground.
You wanted to make that joke, and you told me to mention a candle so that you can make that joke. That's just a terrible joke.
Speaking of being punny about schmoes, we had our challenge, and by we I mean you had the challenge for all of the Schmovillians to come up with Drake memes.
I did,
and we got a couple of those, and I think Brett even liked them. He favorited.
Did he really?
I think he favorited or retweeted a couple of them. Ace even participated. I didn't even understand that one.
He sent that, and you were critical about it. I mean, you were like, I don't understand this. It doesn't read right. It doesn't read accurately.
Because I didn't know what he was referencing. I was totally in the wrong.
But even after I explained it, you were still like, it shouldn't be like this.
Well, that was me commenting on the person who originated the meme, not Ace. Ace did a great job after you gave me more context. It was great.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And right now I'm realizing I'm again doing what I always used to do on the old show, which is bring up things that fans sent in without being able to name the fan that sent it to us. So that's my shtick, but I probably shouldn't hold on to that shtick because more people will eventually start calling me out on it.
I'm just glad that people responded to it. I mean, I don't know. I probably would have felt a little foolish, but...
You would have felt foolish given the fact that it was your first week, and if people didn't respond to you in a positive light, luckily, I think you got some fans out there, Jay. And I
would hope so.
I think people were pretty happy with last week's show.
I would hope so. We put a lot of work into it, allegedly. We like to light candles, but yeah, I was excited. I'm excited to do this show. It's going to be a good time. People also got to hear Sight and Sound for the first time, which is cool. Our first comment was Drake sucks on SK Plus, which you know what? That's fine. It's whatever. There could be way worse comments in the world.
Also, didn't realize that Copster wasn't going to be in attendance of this live show. I wanted him to get ahead of the game and make a sample or a soundbite of Drake saying "Free Schmoe, Free Schmoe."
That's right.
As he does on the Free Smoke track. He says "Free Schmoe." So,
was Copster missed on this episode?
We'll get into it after the theme song. Welcome to After Schmoe, the official Schmoes Know Show. After Show. I'm your host, Ryan Snelling.
My name is Jaye Williams, and get that dog off the couch.
That's something that you have to live with.
It is.
In your own home, and you don't want to watch something. Much like Makuga. Did you hear Makuga's rant on TV Talk? How he hates watching television shows that remind him of his life.
I have, you know what? I actually have so much to go into with Makuga involving TV talk and sort of his demeanor on tonight's episode.
I was going to say, there's nothing to say about Makuga on the live show. That's for sure.
Stop. I'm frustrated with you. Our interaction. First of all, let me just say this. We both watched the show live this week. Last week, I did not. We watched it live. We got into our own chat room, so to speak, of 3 people, you, myself, and Luke Jaggers on our Facebook group chat.
A lot of you probably know Luke Jaggers from the Schmoeville fan page.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were just spiky and spicy. We'll get into it. The more we cover,
I think. By the way, because Ellis realized that I didn't watch Legion, I think he got a little too big for his britches.
Why's that?
He realized that we skipped out on Legion.
How did he know?
Because I sent him a text, something that had to do with the after show. He knew that I watched instead of doing my duties for Let's Talk Legion. And I
have no context of this conversation at all.
What does that matter?
You're like making a joke that I have no context.
It's not a joke.
Okay, whatever.
Okay. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way. This is something that I think I failed to address last week, and I probably should have. A lot of people have been asking me what we're going to do as far as guest host from Schmoeville, and I don't know if all of you are familiar with me. Maybe you've joined in on the After Schmoe bandwagon, but didn't know what we were doing on the Schmoeville After Show. As it stands, my policy when it comes to guest hosts is that we're probably just not going to do them. And there's a couple reasons. A little bit of it is quality control, but the other part of it is scheduling and worrying about and planning about having a third guest is not something that I'm particularly interested in. Well, I just don't want to have to worry about that.
When you say quality control, you're not afraid that people are just going to be trash, but look, you got to have a mic at some point, and we're not going to ask people to just go out and get microphones and all that stuff.
It's that, and I also know how hard it is to do a podcast over the internet. I mean, I think me and you, sometimes we have to do it through Skype from our own homes, but we pull it off, but it's not always the greatest.
Do people realize that we're doing this in the same room together? I mean,
I'm sure they do. Okay,
well, we are.
Yeah.
There might be times
I think people assume that.
There might be times that we don't, but you might not know.
Yeah, you won't know. But anyway, my point is we're probably just not going to do it. And when we do it, I want it to be with the actual Schmoes Know crew. I want it to actually be from someone that everyone wants to hear from. But you made a great point last week that we might eventually get to a point where we have some fan interactions and questions and things like that. And we'll continue to think about how we can implement the group and the Facebook page. I mean, I have some old ideas, some things that I used to do very early on in the show that we're open to and we'll discuss. And so we'll constantly be thinking about that, but that's sort of my stance on that. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it. The silver lining of that entire sort of discussion is that we've talked about it before about doing a mailbag sort of thing. So let us know in the comments below if you're watching on Facebook or however you want, or even if you're listening to this in the podcast form, go to the YouTube video for this and comment. Let us know if you guys would want a mailbag thing, a sort of a Q&A, obviously centered around the after show, or not the after show, the live show itself. Let us know if you have questions on that, something you want us to talk about or address. Throw us out some ideas. That's some interaction right there. Get involved with the show. Help us plan future segments on the show.
And if I wasn't clear, I did want to thank everyone for all the kind words, all the people that listened to us excuse me. I got choked up a little bit because you all mean so much to me. Thank you so much for all of your support, and we love you. You guys are great. And Baby Joker, I'm watching you. So do you want to get into the... also, apparently, everyone in the studio in Burbank enjoyed the show.
Allegedly,
We got Ellis to actually listen. I know that Ken listened.
We got some creative notes from Ken. Which was, you know what was funny about that was...
But if I was to receive creative notes, I would want them to be from Ken Napzok.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a legend round these parts.
I mean, we're talking about a Collider video writer here.
Absolutely. And when we got that feedback from Kristian, also, I've never spoken to Kristian. Not once in my entire life. All of my messages are relayed through you. His messages to me are also relayed.
I don't think he wants to hear from you.
You know what? I am perfectly fine with that. In my day job, I've been.
I'm not even saying that as a dig. I'm saying it because I don't think he wants to hear from me. So.
Well, absolutely. No, in my day job, I've always been told, and I agree with this, that if people, if the phone's not ringing, then you're doing something right, so to speak. So, Kristian, if you're listening to this,
he is.
Only talk to me if you have something wrong with me. Otherwise, just relay everything through Ryan. In fact, he's the one you're probably going to be annoyed with anyways. I'm the positive guy. I'm the fun guy.
I'm the skeptical guy.
That's right. He literally labeled us after the test episode. He was like, well, I like the dynamic. Ryan sucks. And Jay is...
Jay lifts him up.
Which honestly falls into how you view me in general. Because you've always said that. Everybody likes you, and I don't know why. You're always a nice guy.
You're a fake nice guy.
That's not true.
Let's talk about, all right, we're talking about the Schmoes Know Show number 275. Do TV show reboots work? Do they, Jay?
I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't informed on the live show, really. Do they work?
Ken Napzok, Makuga, and Emma Fyffe were at the main table, and they were later joined by Mark Ellis as Predator. Did you watch the live show, the Halloween live show, when Kristian debuted that costume?
You know what? I think I might have, but I didn't retain that information. And
so you didn't realize how shitty it was actually going to be?
I got, via osmosis and just people talking about it, all these people saying things about it was a shitty Predator costume. And you know what? I kind of just wrote it off like, okay, these guys are being ridiculous. I ended up seeing, I can't remember who tweeted it. I think it was posted on Schmoeville, a picture of the costume. And I was kind of like, yeah, it's not the greatest costume. It didn't hit me until I was eating pizza last night while I was watching the live show.
That's not keto.
And it's not. And I couldn't tell where the cheese on the pizza ended and the skin from the Predator costume began because it looks fucking awful. I mean, it was ridiculous. That thing looked like it had chicken pox. It was
I'm not
terrible.
even sure I understood what you just said.
I was holding the cheese pizza up to my face and eating it, and the cheese pizza closely...
So Predator was also in your line of sight
yes.
through the cheese, and you didn't know the difference?
Yeah, the
okay.
Predator skin looks like cheese pizza.
Maybe I can... Okay. I missed the costume. I really did. I was so happy to see that debut through the curtain. I thought that was pretty great, and RB3 even played it up even more.
I have a question about it real quick.
Okay.
Do we think... Did Kristian purchase this costume
thinking that it was the best costume
That's my
ever?
question. Did
Yes.
he buy it like as a joke, as if like you watch a bad movie knowing it's bad, but you watch it for laughs? Or do you think he legitimately thought, this is actually kind of a nice costume?
Because it's funnier to me, I think he thought it was an amazing costume. But depending on the connotation of him, you know, I guess it just depends on how it goes down. Like if he walks into a room and says, Ellis, I have the greatest costume for tonight's Halloween show, then that could get misconstrued as he was taking it literally, but he could also be saying that as part of the joke. But it's funnier to me to believe that Kristian thought it was an amazing costume and then realized once he debuted it, it was actually one of the worst costumes I've ever seen.
How much, because Makuga hinted at this last episode, how much do we think it costs? Are we saying over or under $700?
Oh, under.
You think under? Mm-hmm. Because Makuga played it up like it was, we would be shocked about how much this costume costs.
Okay, I would say there might be some adjustment because I'm in Kentucky, lower cost of living.
That's
but
right.
An expensive Halloween costume for me would be $100 to $200.
Right.
So I would say his that was $300.
I'm gonna say $600.
You think so?
If
I mean that's an expensive Halloween costume.
Let me just say this.
No doubt.
If it's more than that, If it's $1,000, top 10 was canceled because of the Predator costume.
We know he's getting paid by Lucasfilm if that's the case.
Guys, I got a Predator costume with Collider money. Matt Nose and John Rocco, by the way, you're fired.
Oh, man. Oh, we're going to be hearing about that one. Do you think that was a weak bet? Because you already know that he's not actually going to have to wear the mask the entire duration of the show. So was it really punishment that Ellis had to sit there in a rubber suit for 2 hours?
I've been around some stinky Halloween costumes.
Yeah, but it was 2 hours. I'm sure he was probably sweating under the lights. We don't know if he took it on and off between breaks.
It depends.
That's
on
another discussion.
It depends on what he was wearing underneath. Because I've seen Ellis sweat under those lights a little bit. The forehead gets a little shiny.
His face gets red. He talks about that.
And I don't know. I mean, in my mind, I like to think that he was going commando under there. Under that suit.
In my mind, I would like to think Ellis is commando.
Going commando, like
that's what you're thinking about.
Completely naked, yeah.
Okay.
Under the Predator costume. Guys, let us know. Speculation. After Schmoe speculation. Comments below.
Was Mark Ellis naked under that suit? But back to my original question: is that punishment?
I don't necessarily know if it's punishment. It's definitely silly. It's definitely a moment. Him having that mask on in general would have been punishment.
What about Makuga having to go to Santa Clarita and do that moonwalk?
That's fucking hilarious. That's funny.
Is it not?
That is great. And
do you think he'll actually do it?
I'd hope so.
He kind of acted like most people would just kind of brush it off, sort of how I avoided watching Geely when I lost the Oscars bet. I completely avoided that. No one's held me accountable, but there it is on my DVD shelf.
He was pretty nonchalant about it. Like I hope people hold him accountable for it.
He did have an open invitation. That fan needs to reach out to him and let him know that he still needs to go out there.
Well, it needs to be documented. You know, SK Plus is looking for
Schmoe Plus.
Schmoe Plus, I'm sorry, is looking. No, it's SK Plus.
But that's a branding.
We're
issue.
looking for additional content. Obviously, the Schmoes page is looking for additional content. Let's see it happen. I think he should do it wearing the Predator costume.
Makuga?
Yeah.
I don't think he could.
I don't know if those forearms would fit in that thing. He's got some man arms.
His shoulders, I don't know if they'd fit.
He had those forearms wrapped around
he might
Cal. They were squeezing tight.
He might be able to fit in there if he shaves his chest or something.
Okay.
Don't nod your head at that. You were the one that just said you wanted Ellis to be commando in the suit. You can't shake your head at a shaved chest joke for Makuga.
I just don't know if it's going to fit.
Okay.
That's purely it. Let's move on.
All I'm saying is I think they're kind of weak. I like the Makuga one, but I thought this was a weak bet. Compared to the $3,000 licking the urinal bet that we had last year, which was fantastic and one of the funniest things I've ever heard come out of that office. Compared to this.
Well, Ellis was the one that sort of upped the ante on the bet with the whole dollar donation to everybody that tweeted in a ticket. I mean, what was it, like $1,400 total? Some taco place. We're a big fan of Taco Place.
Yeah, we love Taco Place. Absolutely.
Another taco place doubled the money or matched the $700 amount.
Yeah, that's great.
It is great to cancer benefit or whatever it is. Something.
Wow.
So I don't remember what it's called.
Interesting. American Cancer Society.
Yeah,
that's
place.
simple. It would have been crazy if it did it and like there was some kind of metric or proof that it was because of the jump in Collider fandom.
Yeah.
Like if there was a way to do the math on it, you could like take the number of subscribers Collider has and then do it like times $10, whatever the average movie price.
I contributed to it. I went and saw.
You did go.
I went and saw
right.
the movie with my girlfriend and her family. We rolled 5 deep, I believe, in the world's shittiest.
Did you tweet
theater.
your picture at Ellis?
I did not.
Why?
I thought it was only on Friday. He made a statement about only doing it on Friday, but.
Oh, you had to have it in by Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people still did it throughout the weekend.
Yeah, regardless.
But anyway.
My ticket was literally printed on copy paper.
What did you think about Makuga's tan? They had a fun time talking about the hues of their skin. Why back to back? Ken has been self-conscious about his appearance. Last week we were talking about how he thought he was a little overweight in the monitor we're trying to.
That wasn't last week. That was 2 weeks ago. He thought that. Last week he was on the show. He showed up and he looked great wearing that hat.
Oh, did we talk about it on our trial episode?
We did.
We definitely had that conversation. Was it not last week?
Eventually, we're going to develop what I'm calling the Schmoeperlatives. Obviously, going to have best dress. For those that don't know, I am a big fan of fashion. My fashion tip for Ken is to be a little bit more casual. Let's be a little bit more casual.
He was casual last week with the t-shirt and hat.
He was last week. This week he was dressed like a waiter at a fancy steak restaurant.
Yeah, and his skin was actually the color of his shirt.
Yeah, I like this shirt.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a good shirt.
I was wondering what he was drinking out of. He had like some sort of like sippy cup with a straw. He's doing his best Capri Sun impression.
Speaking of nice shirts, you're wearing that denim shirt, kind of looking like Finstock.
I am. I've worn this shirt multiple times, mainly in homage to Finstock, showing up on the Schmoedown.
Do you follow Finstock on Instagram?
I don't. I went and listened to the Harloff podcast, R.I.P. with Finstock.
Well, it's now known as "Don't Be a Beardo." Unfortunately for Ken,
which is also a copycat of the Napzok files.
Exactly. Well, that's why I just said what I said.
I know, but I went for whatever reason a rabbit hole down Finstock Way and found my way to his Instagram page.
Oh, so you did find it?
I did. It's one of the strangest Instagram pages I've ever seen. It's so weird.
He's on vacation somewhere.
Mexico.
Looks really nice.
I believe, allegedly.
Yeah.
No one knows where he is.
He says he goes. What did he say last week? That he'd been down to Cuba or something? Do you remember that? I don't remember if that was on the live show, but he said he just got back from Cuba on something. No, it was a Schmoedown.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard it, I know I do my history segment specifically for the Schmoes Know Show, but go and venture out. I even went and listened to, Mark was on...
Don't Be a Beardo.
No, he was on that, but he was on... What's the guy that smokes the weed? What's that guy's podcast? The movie Doug Loves Movies.
Doug Benson?
Yeah, he was on Doug Loves Movies.
Oh, was he?
He ate a Cadbury egg or
two.
He
was on Nick Mundy's podcast too, Team Tiger Awesome.
Absolutely.
He just did that.
Absolutely. And I even ventured out into some other stuff. But yeah, go and listen to the Harloff podcast and all that other stuff. I'm digging my way through those as well. I do my work.
Yeah, I don't have to do it because I was punctual and on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Power Rangers, but they talked so much about Power Rangers. I just want to fly through this. For one,
I don't, because I actually have I have a theory.
They wore me out on Power Rangers.
But I have a theory. You texted me at one point. I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit.
Here we go.
You threw me under the bus. No, you texted me at one point, and you said that maybe you weren't feeling the show as much as normal, or maybe not feeling it, but it wasn't their more notable show.
When did I do this?
It might have just been your tone. You seemed a little down.
I'm not saying this because I'm afraid of you revealing this. 100% have no idea what you're talking about.
It was just...
I don't recall saying anything of that sort.
Okay, regardless. Look, let me just throw this out there.
For the sake of the conversation, Ryan, you did not like the after show or the live show last night. Anyway.
So... I think that there wasn't a lot of Power Rangers talk because we were missing the two biggest fans of the Power Rangers in the Schmoeladder universe, which was Cobster and Perry. I mean, they were at the premiere,
and good for them.
Absolutely. The only person that kind of cared about Power Rangers at all was actually, who was it? Who did care about Power Rangers? Ken didn't care. Makuga didn't care.
I don't think Ken cared about anything.
Emma kind of cared about the Power Rangers, but nobody was really amped on it. Makuga went off on people's fandom.
And Makuga has zero right to criticize the Power Rangers when he holds Let's Be Cops and Bad Boys 2 on such a high pedestal.
Yeah, I actually appreciated Makuga's little rant about it because he essentially did his version of It's Just a Thing.
Which is your thing?
Which is my thing. And
it's just a thing.
He was just talking, and I kind of agree with him to a certain extent. Just the fact that
I'm not defending the Power Rangers. I grew up on the Power Rangers. I tried to call in on last night's show.
I know. I was frustrated that you didn't get through.
Yeah, I was upset too, but it's okay. Let the other people have have a chance.
Do you want to reveal what you were going to say, or are you going to save it?
No, I'm saving that.
Okay.
That's gold. I did want to actually talk about Power Rangers because I did grow up watching the show, and they needed someone to actually be able to talk about Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's crazy because obviously a lot of people were kind of leaning against the whole fact that they just weren't a part of that. It was a generational thing, but even RB3 was like, no, I was too young for the Power Rangers. There was just nobody that really shared in that fandom, I think, of the actual content to get excited about it. Obviously, when they talked about Logan, everybody has something to talk about with Logan.
Right.
But just for this specific topic, I think. But you know what surprised me? We got the news from Kristian, actually on Movie Talk, that the entire cast is going to be competing in a 5-way Schmoedown on the Schmoedown.
That is fucking great.
It is great, but did they bring it up on the live show? I don't think they did. I don't think they even brought up that fact.
No.
What the hell?
I don't think they did either.
Right? Like,
I don't know. I think that's a huge miss.
I mean,
by Mark Ellis.
Correct us if we're wrong. I was eating pizza at the time and talking to Ryan and Luke, but
how long did it take you to eat that pizza?
We had a lot of pizza.
I was gonna say,
it was a lot.
You started eating the pizza when Ellis came out in the costume. The Schmoedown talk was like almost the full length of the show in.
I was taking my time, enjoying it.
It's a long ass dinner.
I made my girlfriend watch the show with me, the live show.
Well, we'll get to that point because okay. I do want her opinion on stuff.
There was no opinion. She was on her phone the entire time.
Oh, that's there you go.
Yeah,
that's
much like Makuga.
Yeah, there you go. Kristian told Brett Sheridan. You already know what I'm about to say.
This is partially your fault.
It is not my fault.
Yes, last week you talked about how you wanted rules in place that they, first of all, way less drinking. Papa.
That's not what I said.
No. I'm not saying you said that, but well, you kind of did. You said you wanted to limit their drinking. Papa Harloff came home. He put a lock on the liquor cabinet. I don't think Brett touched a drop of alcohol in this episode.
I don't think he did. I said I wanted him to start drinking on the show, is what I said.
Tame Sheridan.
That's
Tame
not
Brett.
at all what I said. In Copster's break. Well, it wasn't Copster. It was.
It might have been Copster's fault because he was to trash on the podcast or the episode.
During Copster's break on this week's show, he played my clip of me defending Brett. So I don't want to hear that from you.
If you didn't listen to last week's episode, but you heard that was out of context. You wanted a leash on Brett Sheridan.
No, I do not. I'm sitting here saying that I do not. My point is, Kristian told Brett not to joke around as much. And I think that's a little lame.
I didn't know if we were to take that serious or not, but I mentioned it to you. I was like,
okay, if it's serious, my response is, that's a little lame. If it's not serious, then, well, maybe it wasn't that big of a deal to even bring up in the After Show to begin with.
Just let the boys play. Let them play.
And and that was sort of your position last week, right?
Yeah, yeah, let's have some fun. You'll hear in my history lesson, look, things go a little crazy.
Things go a little.
It's having fun, Papa.
Speaking of let the boys play, they changed up the format a little bit. I don't recall them ever going to the news this early, ever in the show.
Yeah, it caught me off guard.
It's not even really, I don't know, is it notable? It's not notable because it's a big deal, but it is something to point out. I'm glad that you were caught off guard.
Yeah, it definitely caught me off guard. I don't know if I was ready for it.
Were you ready for the news?
I think Ken was trying to stake his claim. He was threatened that Josh was going to take his place doing it.
Right. After last week.
Yeah.
I almost called into the show and asked them to delay the news because I couldn't handle it that early.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, there's a moment. Maybe, I don't know. When would you like to see the news typically?
I don't care.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
You're obviously very, very passionate about this subject.
It doesn't matter to me at all. If they're early makes sense because in a way it can kind of form the discussion of the entire live show, right?
It kind of took the place of Brett to the Future because Brett to the Future was a little bit later than it typically is.
They swapped. But him doing it actually makes a lot of sense. The earlier that it is, because everything that he discusses in that segment will probably be covered at one point on the live show. I mean,
That's a good point.
Think about how they come up with the topic in general, whether it be Ben Affleck movies or whatever. Then obviously there might be a story about the Live by Night premiere. That's a horrible example. Well, my point is the things that. The high-profile stories that are used to even title their own episodes, that is going to be the meat of the discussion. So it would make sense for him to maybe make jokes about it before they talk about it.
Well, that's pretty much what they did, because they talked about, I believe that he made a joke about the shared universe thing, which was persistent throughout the entire episode. In fact, one of the very last things that happened was to do with a joke with a shared universe. So yeah, I think that's a good point that you're making to sort of set the tone for the rest of the discussion.
Thank you so much.
I don't normally give you credit.
No, you don't. I want to talk about this anime stuff with Death Note, only because our personal conversation that we were having, me, you, and Luke, again. Why does Luke get so many shout-outs? Luke gets shout-outs for just talking to us.
He's like the Beardo or the Cody of us. Of
it's not even that.
Sight and Sound crew.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, yeah, you're right. So Luke was literally having the conversation with us about people's reaction to the Death Note trailer before it took place on the live show. So it was great when Emma Fyffe comes out of the gate, red hot, extremely passionate about this subject, because I knew that it was irritating Luke, and she was basically echoing everything that we were talking about it. Found that very funny. And I also loved how Ace, his reaction was the exact opposite of how I thought he was going to. Ace is someone who, because he's Latino, he prides himself on the fact that he believes that Hollywood should just essentially cast correctly and be more diverse. And he's very outspoken about this, and I love him for it, because I agree with so many points that he makes. But he kind of just shrugged his shoulders and was like, it's an American adaptation. And Emma was actually the one that put her foot down and said, no, that's not how it should be done. And her passion, this was an Emma that I hadn't really seen before.
She was very loud, very, very loud. She was going off on that microphone. I actually appreciated the debate, and to your point with Ace not really getting into it, I'm fine with them getting into those types of debates on the show, and I think that's great. I think it's great content for the Schmoes Know Show. But I think he was right to sort of pull the reins back on it, because that's not necessarily the tone, the overall tone of the show. But it was a good conversation.
Well, unless Harloff is hosting.
Absolutely. Well, he would have just incited
he will invite
it.
the confrontation.
He would have put a cage down and taped it for the Schmoe down.
And he would have... Do you remember how hard we were laughing at his reactions to the Schmoe down last week? How excited he was getting?
Oh, well, it was even worse when he was performing. At one point, when Mark missed a question, he goes, fuck.
What was the match last week when he was going crazy?
The Makuga one.
Yeah, right. I mean, he was just like getting excited, like sitting up in his chair, that shitty grin that he always has.
It's one of my favorite things, just to see his reaction to it. But
that's what he would have been like if he was there last night.
But the Emma thing, yeah, I love the passion. She was very, very passionate about what she was saying. Very, very loud. At one point, I think I'd gotten up to get more pizza, and I came back and was sort of
this pizza,
eating it or doing something else, and she commanded my attention. Even my girlfriend paid attention off of her phone. She was like, she is screaming right now.
What about the dogs? Did Indy and Dolly pay any attention to it?
No, they were not happy with the Schmoes Know Show, because there was a dog that looked just like my dog on the couch.
Kal-El upset Indy and Dolly.
Yes. Cal, okay, can we talk about Cal for a second?
Sure.
I felt some tension between Makuga and Ken. Why I noticed it particularly, you said that Ken seemed disinterested in what Emma had to say.
He's a grandpa.
But I noticed some eyes back and forth between Ken and Makuga. Obviously, left over from last week's episode from Josh reading the news.
Absolutely.
Ken threatening him. But this week, my theory was that Ken was frustrated because he wanted to be on the couch next to Cal. At a time when Emma and Ace were going at it, Ken was on the lookout for a therapy dog for that entire discussion, and he just wanted to cuddle up next to that blonde beast that was Cal.
And he couldn't because of Makuga.
Yeah. Can I throw something else out there and get your opinion on it? I think the sixth man of the Schmoes universe, the Schmoes Know Show,
I already know what you're going to say.
Without a doubt.
Say it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Riley.
Mark Riley.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I love his takes on he hosted like a mailbag not that long ago, and I thought he was fantastic on it. Obviously, he's a writer for Collider, but I love his takes on things. I love his takes on stuff. He was sipping his wine.
He's really smart.
He looked like he straight up came to the studio from Kentucky wearing that blue flannel and that Batman hat, which I didn't understand why wasn't it a Superman hat, with the beard and the dog. I mean, I just felt right at home with him.
You like that? You like that? You like Riley?
I like Riley.
Yeah, Riley's great. He used to host a great Star Wars podcast, Far, Far and Away. You missed out on that.
Great.
R.I.P. I'm just looking out for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Ken was pretty grumpy, but I don't think Makuga even deserved to be on that couch after his performance at the main table.
God, here we go.
I mean,
so naysay. What is wrong with your attitude?
I'm just pointing it out. I'm pointing things out that I observed in the show, and then I display them in a fake negative attitude.
You are actually transitioning into another theory that I have. I have a theory.
What would it be if I was just like, did you realize Makuga didn't offer much at the main table?
So we
I have to be able to make it sound like I'm busting his chops.
Our paths overlap with Makuga in the sense that we also podcast and commentate about television as well. We are very aware of how strenuous and tiresome doing that is. Watching it, thinking about it, keeping up with it. I had a realization on this episode, and ever since the couch has come into play, I'm a guy. If I sit on the couch, it's relax time, it's chill out time, it's not business time. I get very sleepy on the couch, all that stuff. That could come into play. But I am very curious. On a Wednesday, is Wednesday when Makuga's weeks? Is it about to start or is it about to end? Because Josh Makuga watches a lot of television.
I don't think his week ever ends.
So that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't.
Is there a point in Josh Makuga's week where the TV watching kind of ends and it's the weekend and he's excited? Or was this maybe his Sunday night where he's thinking, man, I've got to quote unquote go into work tomorrow and start watching all of this stuff? Like, man, last week, our Sight and Sound episode, we were a little low energy because we had been podcasting like crazy.
Honestly, it was the worst debut possible on Schmoe Plus.
We were exhausted from as much podcasting as we had done. And man, I can't even imagine watching all the shows, keeping up with all the stuff that he does. So all I'm saying is
he earned the right.
Throw Josh Makuga a Kal-El bone.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Josh Makuga. Everyone knows it. I love him.
Best dancer in the Schmoes Know
friend of the show, Josh Makuga.
Friend of the Schmoe.
And yeah. Maybe I'm just a little salty because he has yet to follow me back on Twitter.
Okay. And look, I know, we're trying to turn over a new leaf here.
That's all that I want.
In this version of the After Schmoe, I know you guys like to talk a lot of shit about Makuga back in the day. There was a time.
I like to talk shit about Makuga back in the day?
Just in time.
I like to talk shit about Makuga back in the day?
I'm just saying. There was... I'm joking. I'm trying to start shit. I'm just fucking around.
See, now you're doing it. I do want to point out the fact, I know we're not talking about Collider, but I do want to point out the fact I find it very strange that he hosts the official after show of The Outsiders, and none of that gets mentioned once on TV Talk. I find that very odd.
He doesn't get a lot of panel time on the rest of Collider, does he?
No.
I think TV talk's the only
Not
thing
at
that he
all.
does.
Yeah.
He's got to keep up with a lot of TV. It's,
I'm just saying, though.
I know I didn't address the point
You didn't
that
even.
you just made.
I don't think you. Since he doesn't follow me on Twitter, I can't address this with him. So anybody, feel free to make that point in the Schmoeville Facebook page. Let's find out why he doesn't acknowledge it. I was very curious. Anyway, so Brett joined the table. No, let's go back.
He's lost in his notes.
Yeah. Do you take notes at all?
I
you
did on
do
my
have
phone.
notes. I didn't think you took notes.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Are we over Kristian's Arnold?
For fuck's sake, Ryan. Why is it always negative? Are we... I said let the boys play. Let Kristian have...
You also said last night that we were over it.
How dare you?
You did.
How dare you?
You did.
I just want to say, can we
throw your phone?
Can we change it up? Like we played the Batman clip last week. Maybe let's get a little Jason Statham. Let's get some Jason Statham.
I have a great idea. Let's
I'm reaching for my phone.
Let's take a break. You reach for your phone. We'll take a break. And during the break, we will play your history lesson for the week.
Can I set something up just with this real quick?
Yeah.
So this is a different history lesson than last week, obviously, because it's a new show. But also, this joke lasted a full 30 minutes, and this isn't a 30-minute clip. It's only 8, so I had to chop it up and sort of explain some things. But
so it's pre-recorded. It's not you saying it right here, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pre-recorded, and... do yourself a favor and go back to this episode because it is the episode where the Schmoes did their Q&A with Katee Sackhoff. I explained that. If you're unclear about some stuff and you've had some questions, even though it was back in 2012, go back and check it out. There's some great stuff on this episode, including Mark and Kristian both doing an impression off. Mark does his only impression of Alf. That's the only impression he says that he can do. Having a conversation.
I was going to say it's not true, but...
Having a conversation with,
okay.
I believe it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. But yeah, let's check it out. What's going on, Schmoeville? It's time for your weekly history lesson. This clip goes all the way back to the Toad Hop days, September 5th, 2012. On this particular episode, the Schmoes decided to host a Q&A moderated by Katee Sackhoff. Even though Mark is the professional stand-up comedian, the show quickly went off the rails regarding a certain fruit, and because of the fact that Katee and Kristian couldn't keep their minds out of the gutter.
What about? But you've done a lot of besides just Battlestar. I mean, you've done voices on the Clone Wars and Batman. So do you have fans come up to you for that stuff as well? Or is it more
I am now an honorary member of the 501st. It's really exciting
that's cool.
to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's been something that Speaking of which,
watch Ellis go bananas here.
Ready?
And show the camera, please.
I'm showing you my new wallpaper.
Ellis is gonna fall in love with you.
Ready, wallpaper? Bink.
Oh my gosh, that is.
This is.
Okay, put it down.
What you
bit.
don't understand is that it's fuzzy.
Here, let me see.
Fuzziness.
Watch this.
It's fuzzy, and
It's fuzzy.
That's wallpaper for where? For your
Wallpaper for my powder bath.
You just had anybody that was a fan is now proposing to.
It's fuzzy.
It's fuzzy, so people are going to be sitting in my bathroom in my powder bath,
for those
and
of you
they're
who
going
aren't
to be
watching,
rubbing my.
Yeah, for those of you
You
who
can
aren't
feel
watching,
peach fuzz in Katee Sackhoff's bathroom.
Wow!
Or
Wow!
Hey, I didn't get the wallpaper.
That sounded really
you don't even know what you said, you
inappropriate.
sexual deviant.
Okay, you know what threw me? You know what threw me off is that because Katee called her bathroom a powder bath. What 18th century mansion in Georgia are we living in that it's, we have to go to the powder bath?
What 30-year-old man still says peach fuzz?
I know, right?
All right. Now,
yeah, you should just take that out of your vocabulary.
Yes.
Really?
Because you're talking about children. Like, let's be honest. You're talking about feeling children in my powder bath.
Well, I didn't.
Ellis.
No.
You've been Ellis. Boo.
I'm an Allman Brothers fan. Eat a peach.
The reason I picked this clip is because the joke didn't stop there. In fact, it went on sporadically throughout the first half of the episode for an entire 30 minutes. I know callbacks are a common staple in comedy, and this one was a true peach, huh? Anyways, Mark's sexual proclivities were even more harped on when they discussed the Judge Dredd reboot.
Dude, how would you not book Dredd?
Thank you.
And this is why I'm saying that.
Especially, and not that girl that
making me
got
drink.
cast. The girl that got cast she's a good actress, but I don't see her in that role. She's the girl from Juno, for God's sakes.
But here's the thing: most of the time you're wearing those Dredd masks, so you really got to have like the strong lips. Like it's the same way I feel about Peter Weller. You know?
No, I met her at
RoboCop.
Comic-Con. Dude, she's like,
look at those lips.
I know.
Look at those lips.
Look at
Right?
you. Peach Fuzz talking about the
Peach
lips.
Fuzz and my lips. You're out of
Look,
here.
Ellis taking a crack at Sackhoff today.
I'm being a casting director.
All
That's
right.
all I'm doing.
All right.
Total professional.
Yes, you are.
If you want to
definitely
come
being
back
a
to the casting
director.
couch, we can talk about a Judge Dredd
Oh my
movie.
God. Katie, we'd like you to come in for this audition. Wear nothing but black and a face mask. Please show your lips, and we'd like you to come in with them really nice and glossy.
That's right. Judge Dredd 2, Peach Fuzz.
That's right. All right, let's get to the next one.
Okay. Would you? Oh, this is a great question. So, dead PXLE. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Would you rather live without movies and internet for your entire life, or never touch a female ever again?
You know, I think I responded back to this in the comments, and look,
It's like the best question ever.
it's a
by
great
the way.
comment. I love movies more than anything, but I mean,
And the internet.
let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Okay, well, I've been living my life one of those two ways for longer than I care to admit, so I think it's time for Mark Ellis to go to the other side.
Oh no!
I would kick away movies in the internet
I'll
right
send
now.
my fluffer to you.
Yeah.
You should go to that.
Katie, do you have any
Yeah.
friends that Mark
I
can go
need
out
to,
with?
right?
You need to just set
All of
them
my
up.
friends are married.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, sorry,
mine
buddy.
too.
You should
Right?
have
Mine too,
Sorry,
Kristian.
That's a very nice way of Katie saying no.
Yeah.
All right.
Next time I go to Dragon Con, you can come with me.
That'd be awesome. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah.
I know a great girl who dresses up as a Smurfette. It's really nice.
But can I say something though about
Ellis
that?
would be really fucking happy at Dragon Con.
Because
by the way.
when we went
Should've
to
seen him at Comic-Con.
when we went to Comic-Con, it was amazing how attractive a lot of those people were.
Oh, I'm telling you, I saw this girl in Captain America. She and her husband were in Captain America stuff, and he actually made the circle things, whatever they're called. You know, those things. Fucking gorgeous. He and her.
Yeah.
I saw
and
really.
her body was tight skin, tight things, and I was like, Jesus.
You gotta wonder about role playing. You guys ever do that? Superhero role playing?
I have a like, could you imagine if I was like, I have trampolines and shit in my bedroom.
I was thinking
like to-
swing. Yeah.
I like
seeing
swings.
your wallpaper,
I like to
after
dive.
seeing your wallpaper, anything that you say you have, I believe.
You just believe me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna I dive into the bed. It's fantastic.
Nice water
Yeah.
bed.
So, and she picked Big as her favorite Tom Hanks movie.
Katie was making these really weird dragon noises. Put your eggs inside me is what you guys say. It was weird.
Good
Lord.
Oh my God.
That's
Someone's
three.
gonna talk
That's
about cum
three.
shots in
All
2
right,
seconds. It's not
No, look, I gotta
This
read
is-
this. At the one proto tweets in Peach Fuzz, sexy lips. I guess we know what's on Ellis's mind today. Cue, let's get on the music. Let's get on the music. Whatever you know.
Let's get
It on.
right.
Thank you.
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. What do we got next?
Surely Kristian and Katie were tired of the shtick, right? Actually, our good old buddy, old pal Ken Napzok decided to chime in from Twitter.
Because Tom Hanks, like people watch him and he's great and he's got Oscars and stuff, but that dude is just naturally funny. He was in a movie called what? What are you laughing at?
We got a Ken Napzok tweet already.
Oh God!
We read
Ken
one
Napzok.
every week. If you guys aren't following him, at Cospan, Kozpan,
bet it's about me.
Mark Ellis has been suspended for 30 days for violation of the Schmoes Know sexual harassment policy. Tagging Peach Fuzz.
Fuck me.
I'm surprised it took that long because of how long I've been sweet on Hermione for. But
Oh my God.
yeah,
Man, Ellis just can't catch a break. It's getting a little bit ridiculous at this point, but he keeps digging himself an even bigger hole.
you ever go to the beach and everybody wants to go swimming, but you got those like officials out there. They're like, no, we still got some fish out here, so nobody can go in the water yet. That's what the phone lines are like right now. We got some stuff going on. We'll take care of it.
So I'll read a tweet then.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't let you go in the water because of fucking fish. Like,
I remember
I'm sorry,
that.
there's a fish,
Yeah.
not
I
a
got-
shark. There's a fish.
I got asked to leave.
Perfect.
I was also
Because of the
naked.
fish.
I was also nude.
also
in San Diego.
talking about Peach Fuzz and had a boner. I mean,
I was selling candy.
yeah. Woot, woot.
Charleston chews, 2 for $1.
Snickers bar.
In the kids' side of the ocean too, where whatever.
All right.
Make sure that if you're interested in classic Schmoes Know stuff, go to the YouTube page, find their classic content. They also have 2 iTunes feeds, the iTunes feed that you're listening to this episode on right now, and also a second one where I'm listening to all the old Toad Hop stuff. Make sure to search for it and let us know what you think. And until next time, back to you, Ryan and Jay.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit more positive, Jay. I got my chamomile tea. I've settled down. I'm feeling good.
I have one more note in my notes about you being negative, but we'll get there. I debated whether just to scratch it off because I might have exhausted myself.
You're such an asshole. God.
No one
can't even entertain my thoughts, my constructive criticism. You just have to call me out for being a naysayer.
This last one's pretty good, though, but we'll get there.
Why is Ace single?
Why is Ace single?
I
don't
think
know.
he is just lovely.
If I started my Schmelider, my Schmoperlative best dress, I would have given it to Ace this week. I mean, I guess I can. I guess I can still give him that.
Oh, is this going to be a weekly thing? I thought this was...
It will be, yeah. I'm still developing it, but yeah, of course. I would have given it to him because...
I don't care for that idea. So
Whatever.
You're just going to come up with the best dressed every week?
There'll be other ones. There'll be other ones, like most likely to succeed or something.
RB3?
Well, yeah, maybe this week. Yeah.
What if we gave it to Kristian?
If so,
Kristian's life is just now starting.
RB3. Look, I'm a big fan of button downs. I'm wearing one right now, a denim one.
Yeah, we get your Finstock shirt. Yeah, we dressed it.
Let's get an iron on that shirt next time. It was a little wrinkled. It was a little wrinkly. His shirt was a little wrinkly. It was a nice shirt, but it was a little wrinkly.
I listened to Beardo's "Don't Be a Beardo" with Ace, and it was fantastic.
I'm not talking about Ace. I'm talking about RB3.
I know. I'm transitioning because you're calling out RB3's ironing abilities.
How was Ken Napzok's "Don't Be a Beardo"?
I'm not convinced that anyone in that studio actually interacts with Beardo. I think Beardo walks into that studio, preps it, sets everything up, sits there, hits a couple buttons, and I'm exaggerating. He obviously does a lot for the show, and then leaves.
Do you listen to the Wanger Show?
I'm in and out. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't always listened to it.
Guess who's listened to every single Wanger Show since he's been on
You
After
have
Schmoe?
to. You have a lot of catching up to do.
I do.
I've done my time.
I'm trying to outwork you. Out hustle.
Hey, you've already done that.
So
There's no questioning it.
well, even Beardo on a podcast that's supposed to be
Ellis's impression, he was like, Beardo, I didn't realize that you spoke.
Yeah, we have friends like that. We have friends that don't speak sometimes. He doesn't even talk that much.
Yeah, but he's been there.
But you know what? I can actually sympathize with his statement. It was either last episode or the episode before that. He made the statement that I have repeated numerous times. People think that I'm quiet at my day job, but it's not that I'm quiet. There's just, you're not giving me anything to talk about necessarily, or you're not addressing me with something that's worth me speaking about. So that's sort of, we share in that sentiment.
You have to be worth Jay's time.
Exactly.
I want to talk about Bread to the Future, but I don't want to talk Bread to the Future because it's mainly the main thing that I took away from this was him at the very end. After they talked about The Handmaiden, but it led to them talking about just all these other films that he had been watching, and that was a Brett Sheridan that I had never seen before as well. We got a lot of firsts with the crew. First, it was Emma's outburst, and then Brett and Ken were like going back and forth about films, and Brett actually sounded like, not that he wasn't, but you know, for his character, it actually sounded like someone who is actually pretty well versed in film. And there was a quick, brief, it wasn't a huge part, but the end of Bread to the Future, there was a back and forth of all of them just debating movies. And I think Ellis even commented and said it sounded like Brett actually knew what he was talking about. I loved it.
Yeah,
that was great.
Absolutely. It was, it was a very quality, like the quality of the Brett to the Future stuff was great. But I did feel like I was sold a little bit short because it wasn't the Brett to the Future that I know and love. It wasn't as crazy and unhinged as I like to see. Look,
I
think people.
There's levels.
Yeah, but I think people got into his head a little bit. He even made some comments about it. He was wearing the shirt and tie because he was trying to be the character from that movie that I haven't seen. What's it called? What's that Pixar movie called?
Inside Out?
Yeah, Inside Out. And
Lewis Black voices that character.
And look, I like to laugh along with the crazy.
No, that's not the name of the character.
I know. I know who Lewis Black is.
It's anger is the character.
I like my Brett to the Future to be wacky and zany and over the top. I think the naysayers got into his head a little bit with this one.
Unfortunately, that's not hard to do.
Including you.
And Brett has admitted it that he pays too much attention to the naysayers. I think he's getting better though.
I thought after last week, all the stuff from last week that happened, I thought it would have more reinforced him, but Daddy Harloff, like I said, put the lock on the liquor cabinet, had some words with him, gave him a little spanking on the tushy, and told him to mind his P's and Q's.
Oh, okay.
I actually don't think that happened. You think it happened? I don't think it happened.
Did I say that I actually think it happened?
You said
Jay, it's one of those things. We have to say it on the show. This wouldn't be an After Schmoe if we didn't address things like that.
No,
I don't know if I actually believe it.
Okay. Well, I don't think he actually pulled Brett to the side and said tone down the jokes, but
I think that would be oxymoronic because Kristian brought him there knowing the vibe and the attitude that Brett has.
Absolutely.
And it's been over a year. I've talked about it on our first episode, or maybe it was our trial episode, that I've been observing my time hop. And a year ago, I'm observing a lot of the Phase 6 coming back, and so it was like our year anniversary, and TV Talk I think has been around for a year now too. A lot of fun anniversaries the past few weeks that I've observed. But anyway, it's hard to believe that I've been watching Phase 6 for about a year, and that's how I feel like Brett just joined the show. But anyway, a year in, I highly doubt that was a literal conversation that Kristian had to have.
I don't think it was. It just doesn't seem like it would be in his repertoire.
Or was he referencing a conversation about maybe Kristian told him to zip the lip on Brian Davids?
I don't know.
Oh, that's all you're going to say?
I don't know.
Oh, Kristian just texted you and told you that you couldn't respond to that. Okay. I understand. Okay, that's all I really had to say about that. We're getting to the end of the show, which was basically the pitch. The pitch game, and
this is where my negative comment comes in. Not negative comment, but my comment about you being negative comes into play.
I have nothing negative at all to say about this.
When they were going through their pitches and Josh got to his Seinfeld thing, you said, "This is stupid."
I did not say that.
A Seinfeld movie would never work. That goes against everything the show stood for. And I was like,
You're being an ass.
I am not. Yeah, that's what you said.
I didn't say this is stupid. What I said was it goes against what Seinfeld was all about. That's all I said.
Did you say a Seinfeld movie would never work?
I didn't say it would never work. I said it goes against.
Which it probably wouldn't work.
It goes against what they wanted to accomplish with the show. And
right.
Jerry Seinfeld has been outspoken that he is anti-reunion. He's totally against that. The whole cast is against that. That's not something they want to do. The only time that they had a reunion, it was on Curb season 7, and it was because they made the statement then and there that they didn't like the idea, and so it sort of played up that joke, and that's the only reason why Larry could convince Jerry to do that. But anyway, just saying, it goes against everything that they want. Okay? So, and I was just disappointed because I feel like Makuga knows that.
Right.
Because Makuga is a diehard fan, and Makuga was referencing things, and me and him were having this like intergalactic connection. I mean, the things that he was throwing out there, I feel like he alienated so many Schmoevillians because they had no idea what he was referencing. I picked up on Death Blow and Sack Lunch and all those movies that he was referencing, and
Soup Nazi.
I don't think he brought that up.
Yes, he did. He said the Soup Nazi was going to be the villain in the movie.
Oh, I missed that part. Maybe that was because
I've never even seen the show.
Maybe it was because I was ranting and I missed that part.
It's
but
okay.
Anyway,
there was only one standout of this whole thing, though. Ken Napzok, absolutely the shining star.
I really wanted to talk to you about this because
do you think he wrote all this stuff out?
No.
Okay. This is what's nuts to me.
No.
This is what's I was going through it in my mind. Did they maybe send him his pitches or their pitches to him and he sort of wrote out these responses, or was this off the dome? Because
this is off the dome.
If it's off the dome, my God, Ken Napzok is, I mean, he's like a genius when it comes to improv comedy. Does he have an improv comedy background?
I don't know if it's specifically improv. I'm sure he's dabbled, but he does have a stand-up background.
It was incredible. I like the character. I feel like you could do an entire TV show or something around that character.
I guess there are levels of improv, just the way he handles his comedy to begin with, because he's quick.
Absolutely.
He's quick about everything.
But I question whether or not it was actually written down, because it came off as fluid as him reading the news does.
I think there was enough there that was just... When he was talking to RB3, it was right there in the moment. Like, I think I don't remember if it was specifically RB3.
Like him reacting to specific events.
He would react to, like, specifically what RB3 was wearing, for example, and make a joke about that.
The wrinkled shirt.
The things that he said were things that he had to just bring up right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think there's any way that it was written, and I give him a ton of credit. I was really excited to talk to you about this because even before After Schmoe, Ken Napzok was someone who actually really brought you in, and we talked about how much we love what he does. And I don't know if we've ever really talked me and you, have we ever had conversations about the sort of the games or the segments that they actually do like this? Because I don't think we really have.
I mean, I'm obviously aware of a handful of them, just going back through some of the older content. This was one that I was not familiar with. But just real quick to touch on me being a big fan of Ken, even when I was sort of diving into the Collider stuff, like I've already said before, having a separate podcast where we talk about movies, I have to stay up to date with movie news and whatnot. Collider is my source of that, and Schmoes are my source for that. Ken being on certain shows, whether it be a Jedi Council or something like that, or
I'm going to watch that when we're done here.
The odd movie talk from time to time that he's on, it makes that transition not only so much more enjoyable, but his comedy, it gives you a reason to tune into those shows. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't care about basketball, but I like hearing Michael Rappaport talk about basketball because he's fucking hilarious. So is Ken the Michael Rappaport of Schmoes Know? You're not a Michael Rappaport fan these days, are you?
No.
I need Michael Rappaport on the Schmoes Know live show ASAP. Kristian, let's work on that.
I would be okay with that, but as long as he stays away from my boy Dan Le Batard.
Just because he talked shit about your precious Dan Le Batard.
Well, he was in the wrong. He acted a fool. Anyway, which pitch did you like? Riley did the Three's Company in Space. I loved that RB3 pitched Dexter only because Dexter, I forget about that show. And then every time it gets brought up...
Because it's no bueno.
What?
It's because it's no bueno. Hot take.
It's totally irrelevant. It's one of the worst, greatest shows of all time, quote unquote.
Okay, this is Insight and Sound. Kristian's gonna get mad at us.
I was gonna make a joke about Kristian having to pause the TV to avoid Dexter spoilers because he's just now catching up on the show.
Even if
Kristian
was still on the show, he would have avoided this episode because we all know he hates television. But actually liked RB3's pitch because I could care less about Dexter, but a David Fincher directed Dexter movie is actually really, really intriguing. And I feel like he was the only one that took this whole thing seriously. RB3? Yeah. He was like, well, I'm going to film school, so this is a good exercise for me. I mean, this is... And that even makes it even better that Ken could riff off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
the fact that he took it pretty serious. I mean, he had like a serious look. He was addressing the camera. Well, I clearly think that this is obviously not RB3's voice, but I clearly think that Dexter would make a great film directed by David Fincher.
It's pretty good RB3.
It's not RB3 at all.
What was your favorite pitch? Brett also pitched. Brett's pitch was an immediate no from me, just because I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't either. I couldn't even laugh along with him. Actually, thought Makuga's pitch was pretty funny. How into it he got for somebody who was half asleep on the couch next to Kal-El. That I don't like saying Kal-El. Let's just address him as Cal.
You can do that.
Okay.
They do that.
Even though he was half asleep, he woke up immediately. Also, like didn't he dance during the he did the Family Matters dance or something like that.
Makuga danced, and
One of my favorite things that Makuga does.
it led to one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life. Makuga said he danced, and then he said he outdanced Derek Huff of Dancing with the Stars at Maria Menounos' birthday party. And that
What a
kind of
deep joke.
I was gonna say that kind of blew my mind. But then Ken Napzok topped it, saying that he got drunk with he drank with John Taffer at that party.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of John Taffer and Bar Rescue, and I thought that was hilarious, and I was probably one of the only people that laughed at that, but that was fantastic. Did you not have anything to add there?
No, I don't really.
Okay, good.
You know what? I'm thinking about something I forgot to mention, but I'll bring it up in our What Did We Learn segment.
Yeah, I think that about does it for the show, and that's because I'm out of notes, really.
Okay.
Do you have anything before we get to What Did We Learn?
Not really. Can I start off with one? Because I think it's actually a pretty big talking point. Something that we forgot to bring up.
What Did We Learn is supposed to be rapid fire, Jay.
I know.
It's not an in-depth discussion.
I know, but this has to be addressed because it was mildly glossed over. Actually, two things. One, Ken Napzok feeling completely outdone by, he was dancing around it, but one, Jeremy Johns decided to avoid Ken Napzok on the show and go with Beardo instead, the intern, and that was great. That was pretty fun to see him sort of throw some shade. But are we not going to address the fact that, and I don't know if it was real or not, and I want your take, that Ken and John Roca almost came to blows off camera on a Schmoedown show? What can we take of that? They're both wrestling guys. I don't know. I don't even know how much I want to talk about this. I'm scared.
All I want to say, you're scared. Are you scared of Roca or Ken?
I'm scared of Kristian, honestly.
All I wanted to say is that
Don't talk about this. Delete this episode.
I picked up on it. I just picked up on it. I found it very interesting watching that Schmoedown, seeing that back and forth, because that is not something we get a lot of. That's all I'll say. I'm neutering myself, and that's
the fact that it came up on
the
show,
that makes it even more real.
Yeah. What would you make of that?
I don't know. I think it's funny though.
Why
is Ken making so many enemies? You had a theory that Makuga and Ken had beef
over
at the beginning of the show, and now Ken's making enemies with Roca. I mean, Ken's not the person that you would think would have a feud.
Ken is not a heel.
No.
In no way, shape, or form is he a heel.
And neither is Makuga.
Look, you can't just throw things out like that. You can't just gloss over it on the show. That's your champion. That's your Schmoedown champion.
But also, they could just be throwing us a bone.
Something for us to talk about?
Exactly.
You know who would let us know he would tell the whole story? John Roca. Because off air on our episode, he was very candid. Not about work, Collider and Schmoes stuff, but he would let us know to a T what's going on.
Right. Did you watch Movie Talk today?
I did.
Kristian's intro was what did he say? He looked at the camera and said, "I'm excited to be talking to you. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about." Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Did you pick up on that?
You know what I did? And
what the hell was he talking about?
I had a theory, but I can't remember who it was.
I'll ask him about it. He won't tell me, but the quote of the show. I love the quote of the show. Ken is going to get his hand in Brett's sister. I thought that was a great moment. Anyway,
That's a throwback to my history lesson there. Some sexual deviancy.
Yeah, there you go. What have we learned? Jay, I'm going to you on this. What exactly is a cod piece? Ellis pointed out a particular part of his costume and said this cod piece, and they threw that term out several times. Don't know what it is.
A cod piece is it's a flap that hangs in front of your ding-a-ling.
So it's sort of like what Hercules and all the people who wear the swords and sandals movies all wear cod piece. Tarzan.
Yep, exactly.
George of the Jungle.
Yes, I have nothing more to add. That's what a cod piece is.
Trying to think of another example.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I just can't do it. Gladiator? Did they wear one in Gladiator?
Well, that was sort of the swords and sandals point I made. But
okay.
Ken is a bigger fan of Robotech than Star Wars.
At one point. At one point, Robotech is.
I meant to put was instead of is.
I think it's an anime. Somebody's gonna be like, it looks like Gundam Wing back in the.
You'd be safe if you just said it's animated.
Okay, fair enough. Ace, let us know.
Or would you? Anime people might take offense to that. It's not animated, it's anime. I have no idea.
It's manga, not manga.
Isn't that when it's porn?
I don't know. That's hentai. How do I know that?
No, manga is the comic book form.
I know, but people normally say manga.
Well, I'm working this out in my head.
All right.
Do we have anything else before we get out of here?
That's pretty much it. We've got a lot of stuff to plug. Should I plug away?
How about this? You plug like half of our things, and I plug the other half.
Okay, sounds good to me.
We're experienced.
Absolutely. Guys, you can find us not only on this show on SK Plus, but we have another show called Sight and Sound Weekly. It drops every Wednesday on the SK Plus YouTube channel exclusively. We talk about music, movies, and television, the hottest topics from all three. There's always something there for everybody. Get on there, tell us that Drake sucks. You can also follow the show on our podcast feed. We also have a YouTube feed if you want additional content like that. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E. It's the same for both. Ryan, where else can they find us?
You can find me on Twitter at WhatUpSnell. Please subscribe to our iTunes feed for Sight and Sound. We would greatly appreciate a rating and review. You don't even have to write out a review. Just say hey or whatever. As long as you give us 5 stars, of course. We would greatly appreciate all of your support in what we do. We also are about to wrap up. There's only 2 episodes left of Let's Talk Legion.
That's not true. We have more than that.
There's 2 episodes left of Legion.
There you go.
And maybe 1 or 2 more in addition to that of Let's Talk Legion. So if you're watching Legion on FX, please find Let's Talk Legion anywhere podcasts are found. You can also download the TV Showtime app. It's a great bit of social media for television lovers, and they were gracious enough to let us talk about Legion on their platform. And we'll be doing another show in the near future. We're not exactly sure what it is yet. Maybe The Leftovers. We'll find out. But be on the lookout for that. And we'll, of course, if you follow us on Twitter or whatever, we'll let you know. Also, make sure that you're taking care of the Schmoes and subscribing, rating, and reviewing the Schmoes Know podcast feed via iTunes, because there's a lot more content there. Not Napzok Files. Don't be a Beardo. Wanger Show, of course. This live show. And Schmoedown Rundown. Our good buddies over there. So anyway, there's plenty of good stuff. We are excited about all of the content that the Schmoes are providing you. It's pretty great.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on a Friday too, I just dropped my Sight and Sound music episode. It's where I go solo. If you want to hear me talk about music.
Well, what are you talking about this week?
This week, we always run down the release rundown, which is like all the new music that's come out to kind of give you my quick takes on some things. And at the second half of the show, I'm telling you some of my favorite concert experience stories, both going to concerts, putting concerts on, because I was a concert promoter at one time, and performing at concerts. I've got fun stories for all of those, maybe one including Ryan Snelling as well. I'm not sure, because I actually haven't recorded that at the time we're recording this. And we also didn't mention at SightSoundPod on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow us there. Facebook.com/SightSoundPod. We have too many things to plug.
Yeah, we're done. Free Schmoe, free Schmoe.